Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss about elastic load balancers and auto scaling group. Okay. First of all, we need to launch a couple of machines. Let us launch first, and then we'll go into discussion. Okay. So I'm taking Ubuntu image. Here I select two because I want to launch two machines. I'm selecting my security group, my role. I'm selecting from my security group, which has port 8080. It doesn't matter, we are not checking any Apache or application, but we just have to have two machines so that we can add this into ELBs. I'm just renaming this for our identification. Okay, so Elastic Load Balancer is nothing but a traffic manager which balances loads. For example, um, if you have your, for example, if your web server can handle 100 users of traffic. Okay, that means if 100 users logs into your one web server, it will hang out. Okay, so in that case, what I'll do is I'll create another web server for load balancing, and I route the traffic between these two. If you have multiple web servers, you can even route the traffic between among those servers. Actually, if you are working with, if you are using websites like Facebook, Google, Amazon, like this, they have so many hundreds of web servers, and you need to have load balancers so that you can handle the traffic among all the web servers. Okay, so here, this is my load balancer. Please ask me if you are not able to follow me or understand anything. Okay, so load balancer is nothing but a traffic manager which can route traffic among various um, application servers or web servers. Basically, the load balancers are two types. One is application load balancer and one is classical load balancer. An application load balancer makes routing decisions at the application layer, supports path-based routing, and can route requests to one or more ports on each EC2 instance or uh, container instances in the VPC. Okay, actually, if you want to route this in one or more ports, then you can choose for it. If you see this diagram, load is balancing among first two, between first two and second two separately, because if you are using any different ports, then it will work. But here, if you see in classic load balancer, it balances loads among all the machines at once. But normally what happens is whenever first user logs in, he logs in to first server, second user to second, third user to third, and fourth user to fourth, again fifth user to first. Like that, you can set the routing rules. So actually, I'm not using different ports. That is why I'm using classic. For this example, here you need to give load balancer my ELB. So I'm doing this in my default one. See here, this is internal load balancer. That means when you create a load balancer in VPC, you must choose whether to make it internal load balancer or internet facing load balancer. Internal load balancer means it is only used for internal purpose, not I mean that is not exposed to public world. That depends. Okay, but when you are using web server, you should not choose this, and enable advanced VPC configuration. Okay, so it gives subnetting and all, but it's okay. I'm not using this for now. If you want to use this, you can choose traffic routing among various availability zones or subnets. Okay, so I'm routing my application in this port number 80. Okay, so as I'm using web traffic, my traffic will route through port number 80. If you are using Tomcat or any other thing, your routing will go through another port. Okay, so next I have to choose a security group. So here there are security settings. Previous, just a minute. Security group, okay. Security settings, your load balancer, security, your load balancer will not use any security listener. If the traffic to the load balancer needs to secure, use the HTTPS. Yeah, I don't have any secure socket layer or HTTPS because it is giving this error. If you are using say, SSH, then you can simply mention your port 443 as well, then that will not give. And here it is looking for index.html because if your server is web server, um, okay, let us connect and install web server here on these two machines. Okay, it takes hardly 5 minutes for us, so we can practically see what exactly is happening. Okay, let us create a website. So let me connect to these two machines first. So using this. I'm just connecting to both of my servers, and now I'll install Apache Web Server. remember Apache apt-get is a repository on Ubuntu machine. If you are using any Red Hat or CentOS, then you have to use yum repository. Instead of apt-get, you have to use yum. Then install package name. Package name is also different from one repository to another. If it is in apt, it is Apache 2, and if you are using yum, it is HTTPD. You have to notice the difference and use accordingly. Okay, so now if I check, my Apache server is installed on B and A. Okay, so it is installed. It is clearly saying that where your configuration path is and where your index file is. So let me make a small change to my index files. Cd var www.html. Here I have my index file. So here I give like this. This is web-a. Okay, I save it. Also here, I'm just editing the index file so that I can recognize which server is what. Okay. If you refresh here, you see the title here at the top. At the top on the browser, it says this is web-a. I also changed somewhere else, but it is not enough. You see here now, it says this is web-a, and if you refresh this, it says this is web-b. So you can recognize which server is what. So now what I'll do is I'll add both these servers into one elastic load balance. So you got index path. Okay. So this is health check. So it uses protocol HTTP and AD, and it tries to ping to this file. If this file is not available, then it will give you alert. Okay. So response timeout is 5 seconds and interval is 30 seconds. So normally what it will do is it will seconds and it check for 30 seconds and then it gives the uh, I mean alert. Unhealthy threshold is 2. If it fails for 2 times, it will say it is unhealthy. And healthy threshold is 10. If it checks for 10 times and if it is okay, then it gives uh, a healthy threshold. Okay. Let me check someone ping. No audio. Are you not able to hear me? Can you please ping me? Hello?
Hello?
I don't think Arvind, I'm able to. I mean, it is working fine, but you need to check at your end. Okay. Okay, fine. Then, yeah. Now see, the healthy threshold is if it is working, it checks for 5 times and then says, yeah, it is fine. Okay. Now we need to add instances. Okay. I have 2 instances running, so I'm adding both the instances to this ELB, and I'm adding tag my web ELB and receive, review and create. So this is my elastic load balance. If you are using any DNS, for example, um, if you have any, I mean, yeah, any website, any domain name, you can add it in Route 53. We will check in detail in later sessions, but today I have one domain and I'll create one A record with that name so that I can simply tell you. Okay, I made one for my friend, so I use his own domain name. I'll tell you how I create in later ELB. So you can give anything for test. Okay, and here you can give alias name and let it load. It takes some time. So here you have your classic ELB listed here. You see what I selected, that is classic ELB. Then I create this. So now my DNS name, my public DNS name is test.homelypickles.com. Let us check. Test.homelypickles.com. Now I got my website. So now what it is saying, it went to my web A. Okay, let me browse it again from another browser and we'll see where the traffic went. So what I'm doing is I am accessing this website through my Elastic Load Balancer. So whenever I hit something here, s dot Why is it loading photo? If you try at your end, you may get different web server because all the users. Oh, I'm not getting this. Yeah, it is also web A. If you can see browser title, it says, but I'm not sure why it is not loading here. Yeah, now it is web B. You see here in the browser title at the top, that is web B. So actually your single what we say, your single test URL will route traffic between two different two different servers. You got my point? Do you have any doubts? Here it is showing web B, showing through web B, and here in this browser it is showing web A. That is how you can route the traffic. Okay, this is the monitoring of the traffic. Okay, so that is how it works. Is that clear or do you have any doubt? Actually, I created one ELB and added two instances, these two web servers to my ELB. So what I am doing is when two users are browsing, then the traffic goes to one server for one user and another server for another user. If you see in the browser title, okay, at the top left of your screen, not on your browser, of your screen, it says this is web A, and here in Firefox it says this is web B. So that means I am browsing the same URL, but it is routing to two different servers. Okay, right. So now what we have to do is, so is that clear, guys, or you have any doubt? See here, I'll show you one more thing. The status of these two servers here are in service. See, the advantage of this is, for example, I'm stopping Apache service on one server. Oh, session got expired. Let me open again. SSH-I AWS my web Ubuntu @. So 59 IP belongs to which server? Yeah, we will come to know, no problem. Sudo -i. Okay, now I am stopping Apache service for one server. Okay, so Apache service is not running. So we will see the status here in ELB for health checks, how it works. Which server is that? Yeah, I stopped the Apache service in web server A. Now we will check. Yeah, normally for health check it takes 30 seconds, right? We will wait for a while. But actually remember that this is web A, right? You cannot access this. Now I'm already on this web A. So when I refresh this, it routes to web B automatically because web A is down. Your users will not recognize that one server is down. You got my point? You noticed that or not? Actually, it was web A here on the browser. Now I refreshed and it went to web B because web B is working fine. So that is the advantage of this ELBs. So here you see the service is out of service. The status is out of service because your web server is not available. One of the web servers is not available. So let me start this. Service Apache to start. That is how you stop or start services. In order to check the process, running process, you can simply give the command like this and sort it out with grep. So now my Apache is working fine. So if you check here, yeah, my website is coming up. If you refresh, it routes from B or from A. That depends because both are working now. Okay, if you check at your end, you may get website, web server A. Okay, that is the advantage of ELB. Let me summarize that. ELBs are used for load balancing. Okay, those are elastic load balancers, or you can say these are traffic managers. And whenever you are using multiple servers for the same purpose, for example, if it is application server, you have 10 web application servers or 10 web servers, you can have two different ELBs for all your web servers and for all your application servers. Okay, so if some server is down, people will not notice that because it will automatically route the traffic to another available server. Okay, and if more users are coming onto your website, then normally what happens is the traffic will be distributed among all the servers equally. All right. So do you have any doubts? Please ask me about ELB. If you have no doubts, then I'll move to auto scaling. Okay. So what is auto scaling first? Auto scaling is nothing but, say for example, Flipkart. Okay. Normally what happens is there are very less users on Flipkart in night time, Indian time. Okay. And in daytime there are many users, maybe thousands of users. And if there is any offer going on, then more people will come into the website. So the traffic will increase. The load will also be increased on your machine. But you may have 10 servers on your ELB, but if there are 1,000 users and if your server can handle only 100 user load, if there are 1,000 users, even you have ELB, your site will be stuck. Okay, in that case, what you have to do is you have to configure your auto scaling group so that whenever I'll put my auto scaling rule like this, whenever my CPU utilization is more than 75%, launch another new server. So it automatically launches the new server. So whenever my CPU utilization comes below 50%, then terminate the additional server. You got my point? That is all. So it automatically scales the number of servers and scales down when the utilization is less. Okay, then let us check. There are two things here. Launching configuration. Launching configuration is what you configure like your image, from which image it should run and which subnet and which VPC. All these things will be in launching configuration. And auto scaling group, you mentioned threshold, when to launch. So launch configuration is how to launch, and auto scaling group is when to launch. Okay, first we go to launch configuration. Okay, see, create auto scaling group, create launch configuration. So first I have to go to launch configuration. See here, what I'll say is, I'm selecting one image. You can select in your choice. And this is launch configuration is more similar to EC2 launch. Okay, what are the parameters you want to take in order to launch a machine? Now I'm selecting T2 micro, and my launch configuration, that is a name. You can give your name, and it is requesting for spot instances or not, but I'm not selecting any spot instances now, and I'm going for S3 role. If you want to enable monitoring, you can enable it. Okay, and in advanced, you can give your what do we say, um, your user data, I mean script that you can run during launch. But I'm not going to run any script. If you want, you can try launching Apache web server, so that it will be easier for you to recognize once the server is up. Okay, storage, I'm going with default, and security group, what security group I need for this, and I'm selecting my web server itself, and review and create launch configuration. So launch configuration is more similar like EC2 instance launch. So once I set my launch configuration, I call this configuration from my auto scaling group. See here, it says auto scaling group using this launch configuration. Create an auto scaling group using this launch configuration. So I select this launch configuration. Okay, and my auto scaling group is, I name it like this. So group size is how many servers you want in that group. Okay, that is a minimum group. Okay, minimum there will be those many servers, and if you want to have additional servers, you can have additional. Okay, up to 3, the number is static. Okay, it will have minimum 3 instances, and if your traffic increases, it will increase the number of the servers, and it will decrease up to 3, but below 3 you cannot increase the size. Okay, and you have to select your VPC and the subnets inside VPC, so that whenever my servers are created, it will be created among all the subnets. That means among all the availability zones, so that if one availability zone fails, then it can handle the uh, traffic from another availability zone. So here you can see load balancing, health check, monitoring and all, but I am keeping this as default. And here you can have create auto scaling group. This is the actual part. Configure scaling policies. Keep this group as its initial size. That is one part. And using policies to adjust the capacity of this group. So this is the main part, but we cannot see it practically right now because we cannot generate traffic to our servers. So here you can scale up and scale down. You can give minimum and maximum. For example, if you want minimum 3 servers and maximum 100 servers, so you can mention the number here, because if it reaches 100, it will not increase the number anymore. Okay, and when scaling down, it will be stopped at 3 because the minimum is 3. Okay, that is how you give, and increase group size and execute policy when CPU utilization. See, of ProdWeb. For example, CPU utilization is more than, take the action, okay, more than 90%. For example, see here, you can set alarm like this. Launch one instance. Add one instance when 90% less than or equal to CPU utilization to infinity. Okay. So, and in order to decrease this, for example, if you select CPU utilization, oh, yeah, remove one. Remove one instance when this is less than, for example, 50%, less than 50% of CPU utilization. It should not be less than, just a minute. You can give, it is CPU utilization is greater than 80, for example, 80 for at least 5 minutes, once at least 5 minutes. Actually, it also creates alarm, okay, through SNS. It will inform you as well. So this is the rule. Utilization is greater than 80%. When 80%, then it adds one more server. This is how it works. But here we cannot increase or decrease CPU utilization for our servers for testing purpose now. So I am keeping it with initial size. Okay, there are two options. Initial size is you will give a number of instances there. If one instance fails, and another instance will automatically be launched to keep the number. And for this scaling policy, you can adjust the capacity. If your CPU utilization is increased, then you can check. That might be CPU utilization, memory utilization, disk utilization, anything. You can do that. So I'm keeping this group for initial size. And auto scaling group. If you hit add notification, so whenever these things happen, whenever something launches, terminates, fails, it will simply give me. Let me create one more topic. Send a notification to contact@onlinedevops.com. Okay, so whenever these activities happens, it will notify me. Okay, and name my ASG, my auto scaling group, preview and launch. So now we will check what happens. If you see here, 3 servers are launched. These 3 automatically, because I said it has 3. This is my auto scaling group. Desired minimum maximum. You can also change the range. Okay. Now my auto scaling group servers got created. If I terminate any server now, for example, one server is down, then another server will automatically be launched. Okay, let us wait. These servers are initializing. Please let me know if you have any questions. Okay. So do you have any doubts up to here about auto scaling group? You cannot understand completely unless you practice once, at least once. You need to check all the options which are available there, and you need to try each option so that you can understand what exactly is happening. Okay, so I'll do one thing. I'll terminate this. Before terminating that, I have to change the termination protection. So I'll enable this and then I'll go and terminate. Why am I not able to terminate? Okay, this server is up, so I'll try to terminate this. Change termination protection. Are you sure you want to terminate it? Oh, I enabled it. Actually, it is disabled by default. Okay, so now I'll go and terminate this. Yes. So I'm terminating this. That means if one server is down, in order to keep 3 servers up, it will launch another server automatically. We'll see. It is still shutting down. That means it is still up. So once it is terminated, it will launch a new server automatically. That means if something happens to a server, we will have the same number of servers.